The quiet explosion of Rachel's question left Michael Carter with invisible cracks in his chest. His CEO, Rachel Whitmore, a woman whose sharp mind was always softened by this unexpected, gentle humanity, had slowly become the one steady presence in his carefully controlled world. Michael, a senior analyst at a fast-growing Seattle tech firm, had built his entire life around control, a fortress, a shield against the chaos that once stole everything from him. He had learned how to survive, but he had never really learned how to live. Years earlier, his wife Hannah was taken by a distracted driver. Just like that, she was gone, and the silence she left behind felt like a life sentence. Grief dressed itself up as responsibility and led him to build walls so high, so thick, no one could get through. Dating felt like betrayal, not to Hannah, but to the memory of a pain he refused to ever risk feeling again. Rachel, though, she saw past the calm, efficient surface. She noticed the tiny flinches, the quick redirections, the solitary holidays he never explained. Her concern grew quietly, heavily, until it became a question she had been holding for a long time. It finally came one late afternoon. The city outside was dimming, the office almost empty. She asked, not as his CEO, but simply as another human being, "What stops you from dating, Michael?" He answered honestly. His voice stayed gentle, but the truth was brutal. He told her about a heart that had already learned what it felt like to lose everything. A lesson he wasn't sure it could survive twice. Love, he said, was the most beautiful risk he once knew how to take. Now, it felt impossible. Loyalty that somehow outlived death. Fear, quietly masquerading as devotion. He didn't blame fate. He just explained that some doors, once slammed shut by tragedy, seem impossible to open again. Without tearing the whole house down, the heartbreak in Rachel's eyes came instantly. Unguarded, raw. She had her own quiet story. A divorce. A life poured into work as a safe hiding place from hope. And in his words, she saw her own unspoken fears staring back at her. His honesty, meant to protect himself, had cut her instead. After that, the warmth between them hardened into something else. Professional distance. Meetings became crisp, strictly business. Casual check-ins disappeared completely. He told himself clarity was kinder, but the silence felt heavier than any conversation they could have had. He realized, too late, that in shielding himself, he had wounded someone else. Weeks turned into months, and slowly, cracks began to appear in Michael's certainty. He kept replaying her expression, the courage it took to ask that question. He started wrestling with something new, the possibility that healing didn't mean forgetting, that loving again didn't erase the past. Grief had taught him how to survive, but maybe, just maybe, it had never taught him how to live. Change didn't arrive like a lightning bolt. It came in quiet, ordinary moments. A widower who spoke about finding joy again, without guilt. A stranger's simple smile that lingered longer than it should. He began to see it clearly. His fear wasn't loyalty. It was avoidance. Hannah's love had shaped him. It hadn't imprisoned him. Honoring her didn't mean he had to stay alone forever. One evening, alone in the office, looking out at the Seattle skyline, something inside his chest finally loosened. Companionship, for the first time in years, didn't feel like a threat. It felt like a continuation. He still didn't know what it meant for Rachel, or whether the distance between them could ever be crossed again. He didn't rush back with a confession. No grand gesture. Life, he understood now, wasn't always tied up so neatly. But he started saying yes. Yes to invitations. Yes to conversations. Yes to the small, terrifying possibility that his heart could expand instead of break. And in the quietest part of himself, he carried a fragile hope that one day, if their paths ever found each other again, he might answer that question differently, not with fear, but with faith